the red sauce. Ooh. Some Chilean Chardonnay Cava. Oh, should be nice. Never had Chilean Cava before. Hello. Right, our Peru travels are at an end. We're in Guatapé, Colombia. We're doing what we love, or what you're gonna love, or what you're gonna hate about Lima. Obviously, hate's a strong word, and we don't really hate anything about Lima, so.
Yeah.
We're having to be very creative to come up with hates. Probably one of our favourite cities, isn't it? Or is one of our favourite cities. So, first hate for me is the size and slash traffic.
Yeah, I had
Right.
that. I was gonna put two.
Yeah,
one
yeah,
is size
same.
and one is traffic, but no, yeah, and I kind of put in there as well, like the not great public transport.
Yeah, okay, so.
Because
yeah.
you just kind of have to get a taxi everywhere, or you can get the bus. It's obviously going to be cheaper, but it's just will obviously take longer.
Yeah, so Lima's like well over 11 million people. I think metropolitan area, even more than that if you include the suburbs. Huge, as Ella said, quite poor public transport. Like compared to somewhere like Medellin, that's got like a really efficient metro.
Yeah.
They've got these kind of like metro buses, which a lot of time get stuck in traffic anyway.
Yeah.
So you don't really avoid the traffic. So yeah, that can be annoying. You know, during like rush hours, it can be like pretty intense. You're getting stuck in traffic. One thing I would say is though, it's never as bad as it seems when you get stuck in traffic.
No, it isn't.
Like we've probably only been stuck in traffic for a long time, not moving. Is that one time on the bus coming back in from the outskirts from
Yeah,
Marquechina.
that's true.
The other times it looks like it's going to be horrific, and it's not that
It's
bad.
not actually that
They've just
bad.
got all these huge roads with multiple lanes everywhere, and it's
Yeah.
like you and they all just drive through red lights and shit.
Yeah. I guess though the size thing is like if you want to go and do something, like it's so big that even if there wasn't any traffic, it could still take you ages to get there.
It's huge. It's huge, of course, but like there's a lot of positives that come with that, and I would just say
Exactly,
that the traffic thing, like, or the traffic thing is never, like, for example, Medellin's got a great metro, right, way better than Lima, but like when you see traffic in Medellin, you just stopped for ages.
Yeah.
Whereas in Lima, that just doesn't happen that much unless there was like an event on or something. So
It's probably the drivers as well.
yeah, exactly.
They
Like,
just, like-
the drivers follow the rules more in Colombia than they do in Peru. So yeah, it's not that big a deal, but we're scraping the barrel here to come up with negatives.
It's
So,
probably slightly annoying if you are in a rush.
and if you're used to European cities, which are way more compact.
I had the weather.
Yeah, the weather. I love the weather as
No,
well.
yeah,
but-
this is the same weather. It was similar with Ecuador, because we're Scottish. Obviously, we can't really deal with the heat too much. So we've talked about it a lot. There's this like mist that's over that goes over Lima. So it's like my mum came to visit, and she was expecting like glorious sunshine and like really hot weather.
How many times did you tell her that?
I told her, she didn't believe me. So like there's obviously loads of apartment buildings with like rooftop pools and stuff like that, but you probably aren't going to use that as much as you think. Cause
You're never dying to get in the water,
Yeah.
really. Like there's occasional days where like it heats up really quickly, the mist disappears and it's like hot, but it's not like here where you're like, I need to
Cool
submerge
down.
myself.
Yeah.
The weather, I like the weather.
Yeah.
It never really rains, or it never rains heavy. It's often cloudy. I like the coolness. I like the fact you can go to the sea and it's colder. You get all these different foods because of the weird climate.
Exactly.
So there's a lot of positives that come with it, but some people who want to go for some like paradise, like South American holiday, are probably not going to like the weather as much as if they went to like the fucking Caribbean or something, or like Medellin, which is like always sunny despite the rain occasionally.
We had also come from Mancra, which is...
Yeah, for example, if you go to the north of Peru, it's like idyllic, perfect weather every day, like beautiful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Sunsets every night. Like Lima, you don't get that every night, realistically. Although some days.
But then
are
you
nice.
do, because if you're down at the coast, then the mist is usually cleared, so you do get a nice like.
We're going back on all our negatives here, but essentially Barranco, there's parts of Lima because it's so big that have like microclimates. So like in Barranco, you kind of always do get a sunset. So again, these hates are just turned into loves. I've got a few more then. Crime and insecurity is a thing.
I guess, yeah.
There was like huge riots before we arrived. Obviously, it was absolutely fine for us, but like even locals warn you about some areas. It's Latin America, so this is just going to be a negative for most places compared to other countries. We nothing has ever happened to us in the whole of the continent. We are more wary. Lima's a massive city, and there are going to be parts where it's a bit dodgy. We've had, like, when we were there the first time, someone was like, you know, don't be here or whatever, and some people say, like, in Barranco, be careful at night, but there is just a higher crime rate than in most European cities, and especially even some Latin American cities, because it's so fucking big. So yeah, that was one other I had. Kind of linked to that, I had like the inequality stuff as well. Like there's a stark inequality with some places. You kind of notice it a little bit. Obviously, there's always going to be this in cities as well, so I'm really scraping the barrel here. Certain areas, like up on the mountains, they don't have like the same kind of services and access to stuff as like people down in like the main bit of the city, so they're maybe not treated as well. So I kind of had that. And then the last one I had is like kind of, we're partly at fault for it, but like gentrification in Barranco, Miraflores. So there's like certain parts of like Miraflores and stuff where you can go and you wouldn't even know you're in Latin America. Like it looks identical to somewhere in like New York or like America or something. Again, we go there, we travel there, we pay for stuff there, so like part of that's our fault, but that's the only thing I had. Like, whereas, but it's not really negative because you can just go to Surquillo and get completely like pure Latin like atmosphere. So it's like you get the best of both worlds. You can get like your chain stuff if you're hungover and want a Pizza Hut, but you can go to Surquillo and get like a really cheap like market food as well. So it's not really negative. But again, the format is five hates, 5 loves. So I was like,
I failed.
Yeah, I was like, I was scrapping for hates because none of them are actually hates for me. Actually, like each of those kind of has a positive in a way. I would say, apart from the inequality thing. Like, yeah. And there's always going to be crime in cities. Like, if we did Love and Hate in Madrid, I'd probably just bring up pickpocketing because
there's
nothing to say.
Yeah.
We need to go to somewhere we hate to do this properly, or like
somewhere where there was actually things we didn't like.
Yeah, but it just doesn't really exist anymore.
I had one of his pathetic.
What is it?
The piscos are too dangerous.
Right.
Because so pisco obviously is it's one of my favorite drinks. It's like a brandy, but they make this like a couple cocktails with it, and they're just so easy to drink. And there was multiple times where we went out and for like a couple and just was so rough we couldn't move the next day.
Yeah, so it's not like Scotland and the UK or America where they like pour the shots and really make sure they don't overdo it. They just fucking launch it in. So like, yeah, you can get bad hangovers. Okay. Loves. Okay. So what have you got?
I said the food, obviously.
Food's gonna be a big one.
Go and check out our food video.
Yeah, we've got like a bunch in Lima, up in the north as well, with Peru. But yeah, the food's like world class. It's like renowned for its posh restaurant. It's renowned for its traditional dishes. Oh, speedboat there. World famous stuff, obviously, like ceviche. We spoke about the weather thing. That actually makes the food better in Lima, right? Because you can get fish that live in cold water. It's near the foothills of the Andes, so you get these variety in climates, which just makes the food really different. You can get loads of different fish and all this stuff. They have their meats from the Andes, so yeah. The food's unbelievable, and it's like the Peruvian food's unbelievable, but like Lima food's like specifically good because they have everything. High end stuff, cheap stuff, everything. One I had linked to that was just like value for money as well.
Yeah.
Did you have that?
Pretty much.
So like, obviously a lot of people say, you know, if they go to somewhere cheap, they say like, you know, but is it as good a standard of living? But you can get like lovely apartments and stuff in Lima for like much cheaper than other parts of the world that have got all the services you need, even better than what you get in the UK for like double the price. The food as well, like you can go to eat at like a really cheap restaurants where locals eat, and it'll be like just really good quality regardless. So it's like, it's not like you're downgrading your quality for the cheapness of price. Like everything's just good quality. So good. Uber as well, like Uber's so cheap, you just get like transport around the city for so cheap. All of these things are just like good value, and you're not like having any trade-off just because it's cheaper. What else do you have?
I had the coast. Like they've obviously got like beaches, they're more rocky, aren't they? But you went surfing.
Yeah. And
even just like the whole walk along the coast is so pretty. Ran along it a lot. It's just
yeah. So I had like the coast and the like just green spaces in general. So they got like the Costa Verde, which is what it's like the whole green coast along. It's also, there's like big parts of it that are very concrete in Lima, of course, but like basically every barrio has like some kind of park and green space, like Park Kennedy. There's like the parks in San Isidro, parks in Lince. So there's always some kind of like green space to get away from like the concrete. So I think it's quite good for that. And it makes a lot of cities in Scotland and the UK look quite bad in that respect.
So did you have a different one for surfing, or did you not put surfing?
It is cool, yeah. You can surf and you're literally looking at like Miraflores. You can also do paragliding and all this stuff. There's like a lot of green spaces to do these activities. So yeah, I think that is a good point. Again, if you're a mad surfhead, like it's not like renowned for surfing or anything. But what else?
Sorry, I had loads of different like areas, like barrios. There's like something for everyone kind of thing. Like if you want to go where it's like not as local, you can do that. Or you've got like Cerquillo, which is kind of in the middle. It was like still really local, but it felt really.
And you can walk to the other bits, yeah.
You can walk there.
Loads of variety, right? Like you got the old colonial centre with all the buildings, Barranco with all the art, like street art and stuff like that. Miraflores is much more like built up. You could go like if you like shopping, you can go shopping there and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had nightlife. I put nightlife just because in Barranco, even like Cerquillo, Lincoln, like city centres, all got loads of bars. Barranco, you can go out, be out very late, and it still feels like safe.
Yep.
You don't feel like you're going to get robbed or anything. Loads of friendly people welcoming in bars. So I kind of nightlife and friendly people kind of combined there, as you would have seen in our last video that came out. You can go out in Barranco late, drink, get pissed, and feel pretty at ease.
Yeah.
What else do you have?
There's like really interesting, unique like history things. Like I'm not a huge history buff like you, but I find it really, really interesting. Like there's obviously the Pukiana, the catacombs, and they're so easily accessible as well. Like I just assumed, because there's some kind of ruins like quite a while outside of Lima, isn't there?
Like 5 hours.
I didn't realise that you could go and see something like that so close by.
Yeah, I think that's a good one. Like obviously a lot of people, when it comes to Peru, they think Incas and they think Spanish, and that's kind of like the history of Peru, whereas it goes like much further back than that, right? The Incas is like really not actually that long ago, like relatively, and they've got all these historical kind of artifacts and like temples, museums, like the Larco Museum, like the pre-Columbian stuff from like the BCE years and from like the first couple hundred years of like the Common Era. So like loads of history, and I think that blends into just the culture. I kind of had history and culture, right? Like a lot of immigration, like the Japanese and stuff, which helps the food, and just like this kind of melting pot and all this variety. That's probably why there's so many different kinds of buildings and stuff like that as well. Historic centres, music, like food, nightlife, all of these things kind of make it the city that it is for me.
I had one more. It's probably it seems to be what people go to Lima a lot for, but it is good, like the access to other places. Like we went to Huacachina, it's like 5 hours on the bus, but also like the airport is right there, and you can get cheap flights to loads of other places. Like what we did was just booked an apartment in Lima for like a month and a half, and then we could travel to like we went to Argentina, Brazil, and we could just leave our bags there, so we didn't have to pay extra or whatever.
Yeah. A lot of people just use it as a kind of stopover, right? It's like an airport, but yeah, it's worth visiting the place for a while. But yeah, that is good. Like, and obviously Bogota and like the airports in Colombia are like used a lot to do the Europe, American and Central American like stopovers. But the Lima is like such a huge airport, such a huge hub for just all of the countries around there. Bolivia, obviously, like Cusco, if you want to go to Machu Picchu, all of these places, Argentina, Chile, like it's all like reasonably priced flights from Lima. So it's I didn't think about that one, but that's good. That's a good one.